In this video, this girl's explaining that a friend got a blackout sleeve. I think they were saying it was like a blackout.
You know what? I don't remember. I know it was a $4,000 tattoo. That's all I remember it being.
Yeah. And they tipped the artist $200.
$200.
In the comments, it was a very one-sided of like, why would you even tip an artist to begin with? Like,
whoa.
Yeah, the majority.
Yeah.
The majority was like very like what is this? Tipping is getting out of hand. Like, why would you have to tip an artist?
One of my favorite comments was someone was like, that guy'd be lucky if I gave him $20.
After the 4,000?
Right. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
It's on principle.
Yeah.
You've gotten enough, sir.
Yeah.
So the premise was they were reading an email or something that came in asking, did I tip enough?
Yes.
And then the comments were like, why would you tip at all?
Yeah. The comments blew me away. They were like, why would you tip at all? You gave him $4,000. Why would you even give him anything else?
Why do you need to know if you tipped enough?
That's a good question too.
Because their friends told them that you were a terrible tipper. That's why.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they've been like called out for being a bad tipper.
A friend of them called them out saying like, yo, how much you tipped them $200 on 4,000? That was a terrible tip.
Yeah.
And they were like, what do you mean? I thought I was like,
I'm mathing right now. What is that, 5%? What is that?
Definitely not 20.
10%?
Too low.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to do that in top of my head. So,
yeah, 5%.
5%.
Yeah. So he tipped 5%. I mean, honestly, a $4,000 tattoo to tip like 20% on that, I feel like you can, but it's not necessary.
That's excessive.
It's excessive. I feel like it's
I'm gonna
excessive.
add to that and say that I agree.
Yeah.
Because you're already getting a huge chunk of change.
Yeah.
Like at that point, I'm gonna be honest with you. If my rate was that high, or the tattoo demanded that kind of price tag, I'll be honest, if I got a 0 tip, I'd be
fine.
We still got paid for the day.
I was like,
it was worth it.
Well, do we know if that was $4,000 in one day or was it multiple sessions?
I don't know. I don't know. But
to hate on people that want to tip on a tattoo, like you said, John, there's a limit, right? After $4,000, like, come on,
20% on $4,000, bro.
Yeah,
like that's
we
a
don't
lot.
expect that.
That is
No, I don't expect that at all.
I don't really expect a percentage ever. You know, I'm happy with like kind of whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, in my head, I go, you're the guy that pays to the dollar every time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to remember that when it comes time for me to order some pizza today and just all these other things that like, there's this other part of the experience that sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to go do my own break and they're just not on my level at that point, you know, not because like I hate you, but like, I'm also just like, you know, like,
you're that guy.
You're only paying for the dollar for dollar time of tattooing. Cool. When I'm not tattooing you, I'm over here for 20 minutes until my break's up or we finish our smoke break. You're going to smoke a cigarette or something. Cool. I'll go to the other end of the building or something and just kind of chill. Cause like, we're not really connecting. I don't think, man, you know, like, you know, I don't think you understand how this kind of like works well for each other, you know, but it's like, I do feel like the agreement is met. We made $4,000. That's the end of it. You know, I'm not mad that you didn't give me more. I just will always remember you for being the guy that didn't tip anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. In anything.
So the thing is that tipping is such an American thing. It's such an American thing. So a lot of the comments on this thread were coming from people from all over the world.
Of course.
And a lot of people from all over the world are like, what the audacity of this guy? Like, why would you even give him any tip? Like, Americans are crazy with their tipping standards. And I think based on what things that happen in the other kind of part of the world, but when I think about England, right, tattooing is actually cheaper there than it is here in New York, at least. I don't know about the rest of the America, but like it's cheaper than it is here in New York. And people will tip. And over there, people are probably not going to tip you.
So I just want to clarify, being in like both in US and in Europe, what really separates the whole tipping thing is that one, Americans can get a little excessive with tipping, like tipping for just nothing. But where it is important is with the servers and the people in the restaurant
industry.
in the service industries.
Yep.
Because they actually depend on that. They'll get a low salary and then depend the entirety of their earnings based on how hard they work, how good their service is. And I'll be honest, not to knock like the Europeans at all, because I love them, but it's like you see the difference when you go over there and you're at a restaurant and the experience is not the same.
What are those servers just not give
The
a shit?
service is not the same. It's not. And what happens is that the competition to provide a good service here in the US is highly reliant on that tip.
Yeah.
So people are going to work their asses off to please you, to serve you, to be good hosts in whatever it is that, that whatever service they're providing. So, and in Europe, it's very lax. Everybody gets a salary for, if you're the bar guy, you got a salary.
Paid more there as like
if you're working at a restaurant, it's a salary.
Yeah.
That's a good argument.
There's no urgency to do more.
Right. That's a good argument against all the people who are like, oh, just pay the servers what they're worth and you don't have to worry about tipping them and don't have to worry about relying on tips.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the case. If they don't rely on tips, they're going to give a shitty service because they don't need that extra money.
They're not going to care. They're like, I'm getting my check anyway.
There's no reason to try better than they would on any other thing. They're getting the same amount no matter what. There's no expected extra. Why would I do extra?
So it's like, almost like, and get mad at me when I say this, it's almost like if you try harder, you get paid more.
One thing I've noticed here in this
wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
I mean, I've seen where like a lot of times though too, like, I don't know. Odds and I and my wife, we just saw something here recently where this guy was, like giving like a stand-up thing about this, but like the guy in the suit usually isn't the one that tips. We tip each other.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he got to this point where he's like, the service industry tips this guy and he realizes how good and hard he worked right there. And that waitress did a great job. We're going to tip that person.
Yeah.
But that person walks right across the street to another restaurant and tips the server there because they see the same thing. We're just handing the same taped up dollar bill back and forth to each other through these tip scenarios, because like the people that we really want to be tipping us are, the ones that are holding on to it harder. And they're like, you don't need that. I already paid you $4,000 or something, And it's like, they don't see the service we provide and the experience we're trying to extend to them, It's like seen as this other, like, just like, whatever. The deal was this and I paid you that. Like, high five, bud.
Thank you guys for tuning in. And if you guys want to watch the full podcast, make sure that you click up on this link above to watch the full episode of the Honest Tattooer podcast. We'll see you in the next one.